Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Spyderco Insistent. This is the smallest of their Efficient series. They just have come out within the last year. They have the Insistent, the small one, the Efficient, which is the middle size, and the Emphasis. All made in China, HCR 13 OV steel, get that out of the way. But all pretty reasonably priced. This one goes for $44.10. Most places you can find it. Not too bad. We'll talk a bit more about that at the end. But really, really cool little knife. And just to give you a little sneak preview of my conclusion, this is a knife that is much greater than the sum of its parts. And we'll talk a lot more about that in the conclusion. But before we get any further, let's do some specs and some size comparisons and all that, because we're going to do a lot of size comparisons. We have an overall length of just a hair over 6 inches, blade length of 2.5 inches, blade thickness of 0.11 inches, handle thickness of 0.48 inches, and a weight more than you expect. They claim 3.7 ounces. I weighted it like 3.96 ounces. Not light for the size that it is. It is definitely in that little big knife category. And we'll bring out some more little big knives to compare it to right now as we do size comparisons. But first, we'll start off with our usual. We have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2, put in our usual Spyderco sandwich, and your Spyderco Para 3. So you can see, it's not a terribly long knife. Very tall, kind of chubby little knife, but definitely fairly short. And I'm going to bring out one more Spyderco. I'll leave the PM2 out there for the moment, but just another one that a lot of people have. This is the Spyderco Chaparral. You can see it's just a little bit shorter than the Chaparral is. But more appropriately, let's bring out some other smaller knives. The next one is still another Spyderco, and I wouldn't put it in the little big knife category, but because it is a very light little thing. But this is your Spyderco Dragonfly 2. You can see it's quite a bit bigger than a Dragonfly 2. And probably more appropriately, this is your CRKT Pilar. Do not judge the condition of this knife. This is my son's. And he has acid hands, so it's getting a bit pitted. I'm going to have to do something about that. May actually do a little comparison between these two if I can get this one cleaned up to be presentable. But my son's a great kid, but he does not take care of his knives. You can see it's roughly about the same length as the Pilar. And Pilar is also another one that's a bit heavy. And lastly, this is one I have not done a full review of, but we're going to bring it out anyway. This is the Steel Will Cubold. It's quite a bit bigger than that. This is a tiny little thing. All right, let's get going with the review here. So first of all, the looks of it. If you like Spydercos, I think you're going to love the looks of this. If you don't, you're not gonna. It is very Spyderco. I'm just gonna say that it's very Spyderco. It reminds me of like the Native series. I like the Little Native and knives like that. Really do like that. I really like the looks of it. I'm a Spyderco guy, so I really like that it looks very Spyderco. And for a fairly entry-level price, you're getting a knife that is definitely 100%. Everybody's gonna know it's a Spyderco if you're into that kind of thing. But really cool. This one does have a collector's number on it. I'll explain more about that at the end. I'm not in the Spyderco Collectors Club, but the person who I got it from is friends with somebody who is. So you have your nice G10. The G10 of this is really nice. It's the same as you see like in a Tenacious or like I said on the other Efficient series knives. I think it feels really nice. Deep carry wire clip. I'm happy about that. I'm happy to see that trickling down more to the budget series. I really like the deep carry wire clip. I know there are a few people who adamantly hate it, but I don't. The lanyard hole is, and people may want a lanyard on this because it is a small knife, but it's not in the way of anything. It's great. I do really like that. And everything is nicely done. The quality on it is just really good feeling, in your hand. Definitely everything's nice and flush. What it kind of reminds me of, I'm bringing on another knife here, and unsurprisingly, Spyderco's actually dedicated budget line. I've always been a real advocate of the bird knives that have the G10 handles, and not as much the plastic ones, but these I really like. And it's the same steel. It's probably almost certainly made in the same factory, although this one does have the screws feel a lot better on this. But yeah, it does kind of remind me of those. And yeah, as I said, quality-wise too, while we're talking about that, the screws on this were actually excellent. I tore this apart, and I was expecting the screws to be kind of soft and crappy, but they're all T8. Everything's T8, even the pocket clip screw. Everything is. And it came apart super easy, and I had no feeling of like I was going to strip a screw or I was in any danger of doing so. I was very, very, very happy with the screw quality on this. That's what she said. But it's really easy to take apart, really easy to maintain. It does come on Teflon washers, so if you really hate those, let that be known. But it did respond really well to being taken apart and cleaned up. The action wasn't horrible when I got it. It's gone through a couple people before it got to me, so I don't know if it's come apart before, but I put KPL on it and, cleaned it up, put it back together, and it responded pretty well to it. The action on it now is not bad at all. We'll get to that in a minute. As far as the blade goes, the most important part of the knife, your typical Spyderco leaf-shaped blade. As I said, 8CR13 MOV, wah. But you know what? They don't do a horrible job with it. I have a couple birds with that. This is the only actual Spyderco I have with it now, but it's not bad. It's not good either, but it's not bad. The only disappointing thing about it is I heard rumor from someone who worked at Spyderco that when these came out, they were going to be BD1 or maybe even BD1N, but probably just BD1. And that's not what happened. They are the same old 8CR13 they've used in the, Tenacious and all their other line like that. And that's a bit disappointing, but it's, as I said, for 8CR, it's not too bad. It does sharpen up super easy. I don't know what they were doing on the sharpening choil, though, I will say. What is that? It's like a nick. Like, why did you try? I don't know. Just don't have one. But it's about 22 thousandths behind the edge, or 21 thousandths behind the edge, which isn't too bad. It is a very slicey little thing, thin blade stock, so it's a very slicey little thing, which makes it great to use, as a box cutter, box opener, all that kind of stuff. It's great for that. But yeah, it's a sharpening choil. What are you doing? And I really wish it wasn't the BD1N that I heard about. I don't know if that was just a complete fabrication or something didn't work out, but this knife is just, spoiler, this knife is really good, but it would be great if it was a different steel. All right, let's go on to ergonomics. Ergonomics are superb. And that's the only word I can think of to describe it. For a knife this size, I have large size gloves, fairly skinny fingers, but man, it fits in my hand like the proverbial glove. It's just so comfortable in my hand. I really have a hard time explaining just how good this thing is for a knife this small. It is just excellent. Handle's fairly chunky for a knife like this, so that kind of makes sense, but just my fingers land perfectly. It's definitely a knife you're going to use choked up. It's definitely not a knife that you're going to use like this because the blade is way far away and it is only like a 2.5 finger knife if you do that. This is the way it's meant to be held, and when you do, it's great. No hot spot for me from this clip. Just awesome ergonomics. Also, it does carry pretty well. It's hard to explain. It is way heavier than it should be for this size. That is one thing that I have to dig it on. At 3.96 ounces for a 2.5-inch blade, that's a lot. And what's funny is, it is, if you can see it, it is drilled out. I don't know why it's so heavy. Assuming it's this big, heavy backspacer that does not need to be there, in my opinion. That's got to be it. Or these are made of adamantium or something, and I don't know, instead of stainless steel. But yeah, it's a bit heavy for sure, and it is a bit tall. But the deep carry clip works well. That wire clip, if it wasn't for that wire clip, I probably wouldn't like it as much, because at least it does carry okay. You can get your hand past it fine. There's nothing sharp on the back, but we're gonna do the old flip open here, and you can kind of see how much room it's taking up in that pocket. It's significant for a knife this size. It will carry in the 5th pocket. I have carried it that way. I'm not sure if you want your 5th pocket knife to be 4 ounces. I don't. So I don't usually carry it that way. If I carry it, I carry it as 1. But you can see it fits, but it's like, it's barely. But actually, these pants, even though they are work pants, they're Dickies work pants, which we're still not making jokes about. The 5th pocket on these is kind of small. On my other jeans, like on my American Eagle jeans and stuff, it fits in the 5th pocket, seated down all the way and fine. But yeah, it carries okay. As far as the action goes, very snappy, for sure. Rockets right out. Does it close as fancy? No, it's definitely, like I said, I have torn this apart and maintained it, and I can shake it shut in one shake, but it's never going to be drop shutty on Teflon like this. And for $44, I'm all right with that, I guess. The aforementioned Pilar, again, this is my son's that has been heavily used and well broken in. Same kind of thing. It doesn't drop shut, and it also is running on Teflon, but it drops a little bit easier. But again, this is very, very well broken in. He's put a lot of miles on this thing. Yeah, so my overall conclusion is, so let's list what I've complained about. Don't like the steel. It's too heavy. Doesn't really carry that great. The ergos are awesome, though, and you know what? I love it. I really do like this. I acquired this knife, and why it has that collector's club mark on it is it came through on JT's Knife Life, Take a Knife, Leave a Knife pass-around group. I had a choice of a lot of knives, and a lot of them were more expensive than this and nicer than this, and I just bonded with it. I just really, really like it. I don't know if it's the ergos or whatever, but it's finding my way in my pocket a whole lot. The only thing that stops it from being a very regular, like, secondary knife, you know, that I have in like my 5th pocket or in a coat pocket or something like that, is just the weight. If this was a 2.5 ounce knife, I'd be carrying it all the time. And it kind of really makes me miss my little native. It does remind me a whole lot in my hand of the little native, which is a fantastic little knife. Infinitely more expensive than this, but the other elephant in the room is that it's $44 and it has HCR13 steel and Teflon washers and all that. Not horribly uncommon, but in today, in this day and age, yeah, this is probably a $30 knife, and that's a bit upsetting, which leads us to the discussion of, and you guys can stop the video if you don't want to hear this discussion. I'm saying it's a good knife, but it's a bit overpriced. Is the brand name worth it? This isn't a bird. You know, this isn't one of these. This is one from their budget line. This is a real genuine Spyderco. Made in China, yes, but still a real genuine Spyderco. Is it worth it to pay that little bit extra to get, to get the Spyder on it? And to a lot of people, it's going to be. And to a lot of you are probably now typing before you listen to me in the comments saying brand consciousness is stupid and who cares about a brand? Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people do. I'm one of them. Not necessarily with knives, because I know enough. I know that, like, Civivis are really good and stuff like that, and I don't care that people don't know the brand name. But with lots of stuff I am. I'm wearing Nike Jordan Retro 1s that I searched all over for, and they weren't that expensive. It was like $110, but, like, I could have gone and bought a $50 pair of sneakers at, DSW or Dick's or something, and they'd have worked just as well. But no, I wanted Jordans, so I went out and got them. I am a admitted slave to Apple. And I know that's all overpriced, but I like the brand. I know how to use it. I know what I'm going to get, and I don't blame people for spending a bit extra to get that Spyderco logo that more people are going to recognize, and that has a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for, cachet to it, or whatever you want to say. I don't blame people for that, and I don't knock people for it. And like I said, this knife is better than the sum of its parts. Absolutely superb design. I do wish it was BD1. I hope maybe they upgrade in the future. That would be amazing. But I'm not holding my breath because I think they had their chance to do that this year with that new Efficient series and they didn't do it. So we shall see. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.